Today we need to talk about people saying that HYBE needs to send doctors to the group SSERAFIM. We need to get into people concerned that V might have gotten a terrible skin burn from doing the military gas chamber training, and then we have some camp pictures leaked of V that people are not happy about. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave. Decide hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Grab your dumpling, taste bling book merch, and let's go. There's been a lot of photos that have come out recently of V at the camp. Now, who is taking these photos and what do these photos mean? That's up for speculation, as a lot of people like to say that it's stalkers coming in and taking photos or whatever it is. However, oftentimes from my perspective, I don't think that it is stalkers taking these photos. I think these photos are taken by someone who was allowed at the camp, but then phrases their posts like they're stalkers in order to get attention. What do I mean by this? Let me explain. Yeah, of course, not everyone in the fandom has severe issues going on mentally. However, the few that do are the ones that beg for attention. They feel the need to get attention to survive, or they're not getting attention back home from their friends and family, and they try to get it on this online fandom. Whatever. What a lot of these stalkers do is that they steal photos and videos from potentially other friends and family that are at the camp, like not specifically at the camp to see V, but they're specifically at the camp to see their own brothers or friends, and then the stalker takes those photos and passes it off as their own. Of course, this is just a theory. I don't think that this is always true, but these alleged stalkers will take photos where it seems like it's at the military ceremony, and then they will post it and pass it off as if they had snuck in and taken these photos. Now, just a big heads up, you can't really sneak into these military events if they are open to the public. Then they're just open to the public and there's no sneaking, and you are publicly allowed to go in. And if they're not publicly open to people to get in, you can't just get in. There's guards, there's people that are there to make sure you don't get in. I can't just waltz in there if I feel like it. One account posted something that was very interesting, saying that they had taken a picture of V during his military graduation ceremony of him holding his graduation papers or whatever. And this stalker had taken the photo on their phone, and they had not posted the photos because they were scared that since the photos were not already circulating online, that if they had posted the photos, they would be called a stalker. So they kept those photos until now to post. Now, the reputation of these fan accounts, or even the reputation of the people who had taken photos from the military ceremony, were that all these people were stalkers. So by making a post saying that you have these photos and then making a post saying that you were scared to post them initially to get backlash, it's a post that makes it seem like they are a stalker. Hence, if they were actually not a stalker or were not someone who wanted attention, then they would have just posted the photo without such a strange caption, or just kept the photo to themselves. The more you see people who are online and writing really weird, stalkerish, violent, or terrible, disgusting things, the more you know that that person is a fake person and it's not someone who actually is the thing that they're claiming. Because if they were the thing that they were claiming, they would keep quiet about it. Any real person that was attempting to do something illegal and do something really terrible to an idol has never publicly ever posted about it. Just go through the history of things that have actually happened to any celebrity, whether American or wherever in the world, and look if they ever posted about killing a specific celebrity before they did it. They usually don't. And I say usually because there are probably cases that this has happened, but I'm willing to bet that like 99% of the time they don't do that, because 99% of the time when the news comes out, it's like, oh my God, we were so shocked that this fan killed the celebrity. That fan was such a kind person. Whereas if they were sending death threats online all the time, then I don't think anyone would be that shocked. Of course, it's moments like this where a K-pop idol is probably going to need therapy and a lot of mental help, right? Because how can you live or act like things are okay when you know that there could potentially be people out there that are stalking you, or that there's even people online saying such horrible things? One of the most awful things about getting negative comments isn't so much the comment itself, but the idea that there's someone out there that hates you so much that they felt the need to write such a comment. And that hurts more than I think the comment itself. Because most people who do music or art, they do it for the point of wanting to connect with people and wanting to create something beautiful. And they're typically going to be pretty nice people that just want to connect. The group SSERAFIM is not a stranger to this, obviously. The group had some hardships in the beginning. I think there were a lot of issues with a specific member leaving, and then the group was kind of left in this limbo land. Like, are they going to debut? Are they not? And then let's not forget the fact that the girls were all probably friendly with each other, and to see one of the members leave, there probably wasn't going to be very good for their psyche. I think it was proven that the specific member Garam that left was framed and the situation was not actually real. Now don't quote me on that, but it is believed that this situation that she was accused of was not actually a real thing. However, it can't really be good for a celebrity's mental health when they see that someone who is falsely accused or potentially falsely accused of something can lose their entire career. Like the fact that you don't have to do anything, but someone can just wake up, hate your face, create a whole fake narrative about you, Photoshop things, do all of the things, and then suddenly your career is canceled without you ever having done anything really bad. There were some people online that were talking about how HYBE should send a medic or a doctor or someone who can perform psychotherapy for any K-pop group in the label. The label recently did announce that they were having an in-house medic team that was going to be there in case the artist suffered from any physical injuries or anything like that. However, they never mentioned whether they would like therapy or those sorts of things, which of course every idol is going to need. And I almost believe that this is probably going to be something that is more important than having a doctor that just helps with physical problems, because I can sit there and I can say that I have issues with my throat because I sing a lot or whatever it is, and most doctors are probably going to know what to do with that. However, the idea that an artist has all these mental issues due to pressure, due to hate comments, due to feeling lonely, and not being able to relate to anyone, whatever the issue is that an artist has, that is probably more important, and they're probably more likely going to need someone who understands artists like that instead of like an outside therapist who probably isn't going to understand any of that. So I hope in the future we can see an alert that HYBE will announce that they will have an in-house therapist that understands artist issues. And I'm saying this out loud, and I'm saying this in hopes that maybe someone from HYBE can see this and start initiating that process. Of course, having an in-house medical team isn't going to stop the fandom from being concerned about the members or specific idols' health. And this makes sense because the recent medic team was only announced recently. So those who are not currently at the office or who are currently enlisted and away are not going to be able to take advantage of an in-house medic team. Specifically, we are talking about the member V. If you're not aware of what is going on, V has a specific skin condition that's very bad. It's a form of eczema, I believe. Keep in mind the term eczema is an umbrella term for like most skin rashes or allergic reactions that happen. So I don't know if it fully categorizes under that, but basically V has an allergic reaction that occurs when it's really hot out or when it's really cold out or just things like that. The condition is basically very itchy and he can't stop scratching. This might be a reason why you'll often see that when V is dressed up and performing, he often looks very different from the other members. The other members could be wearing very tight clothes, while his clothes are extremely loose fitting. It of course makes him a bit of an icon in fashion because then he tends to look very different from everyone else. However, the reason he likely is wearing those different clothes probably wasn't to look different or to be a fashion icon. It probably was because he actually had to. Now, of course, it goes without saying that if he has this specific skin condition that is itchy and gets reactive when there's specific environmental issues, then him being in the military gas chamber would probably be torturous, as the gas chamber can obviously cause you to itch, but more than that, it causes burning, and so now you have burning on top of itching, and that's just a nightmare. However, we don't have an update on this situation, even though everyone is concerned about it. I can't tell you specifically if he decided to go ahead with the gas chamber training or if he attempted to avoid it. However, he knows his body best, and if he believes that he wants to do it because he believes that it's something that he should experience, then even if he does end up being pretty bad, he'll be fine because it's something that he wanted to do. And if he felt like the gas chamber would be something that would irritate his skin very, very badly, I'm sure he would be able to say that he didn't want to do it. Mind you, there isn't a specific activity in the military that you can't get away from. Like if you have a very specific reason and a good reason why you can't do a specific training, then the military can't force you to do that. I think that would be illegal. So keep that in mind if you're ever worried if the boys are in good health or doing okay, or if they're being forced to do something that would be really bad for their health. They know their own health better than you do, so they can take care of themselves in that aspect. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks, this little bit comment right here. Love you. Bye.